Hey everybody, welcome to Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Now, you can probably tell by looking at me that I'm not a young man. I'm not elderly either. Sometimes I feel like I might be a little elderly. I am a member of Generation X. And as such, I grew up in the late 1970s, early 1980s, and was blessed with some of the great pop culture cartoons that were ever made. Got your Transformers, got your G.I. Joe. I grew up on stuff like Super Globetrotters, Grape Ape, Speed Buggy, Scooby-Doo. A lot of great stuff. A lot of great stuff that, well, when you come back and look at it as an adult, it's really probably more nostalgia than it is super high quality. I mean, it had its moments, but it was a lot of fun, great design, and I'm very happy I got it. When I first became a father, though, I soon learned that I was getting a second childhood when it came to cartoons. Because being a good father, I watch television with my daughter. It's important. You need to see what they're watching. You need to be able to talk about it, discuss it, and if you're real lucky, you actually get to enjoy some of it. Now, hey, look, you had to take the good with the bad. I mean, her first favorite show ever was Teletubbies. I'm not going to lie to you, that was pretty rough. And later on, I've watched an inordinate amount of Hannah Montana and Wizards of Waverly Place for a grown man. But along the way, I got to see some really great shows that I count myself lucky to have seen. So today, I'm going to talk about my 5 favorite cartoons from my second childhood. Now, these are going to primarily be cartoons that would have been airing, although some of them would have started earlier, but airing, mostly from like 2000 to about 2010. Those were sort of some of the prime years for cartoon watching for my daughter and for myself. Not going to really get into the stuff when she was real little, although Blue's Clues. Love some Blue's Clues. JoJo's Circus, also really cute. Hey, if you have little kids, go seek them out. They're worth watching. But I'm going to talk about the 5 cartoons that I probably had the most fun with. Not necessarily the best, although maybe the best. The ones I had the most fun with. And we're going to start off with the Aquabat Super Show. Now, this one aired from 2012-2014. Okay, it's not a cartoon per se, but it had cartoons in it. And the guys are pretty cartoony. They're a ska band. They've been around for a while, and Christian Jacobs, the lead singer, well known for doing, Yo Gabba Gabba. And probably on the strength of that, he created the Aquabat Super Show. It's a throwback to the stuff we used to see, live action stuff done by like Filmation and Sid and Marty Krofft. It's goofy, it's funny, but you know what? It also was a little bit, had a little bit of sly rebelliousness to it. It's being done by a bunch of Gen X guys, or maybe a little older. I think pretty much Gen X. So they're making references that we can understand. Great use of practical effects, often done on a shoestring budget, but truly one of my favorite things. My daughter became a fan of the Aquabats, of their music, and is to this day. We've gone to a couple concerts. They're nuts, but these guys really put on a great show, and it was a real indie sort of effort. A lot of sweat equity into this thing by these guys. Love the Aquabats. Go check them out if you haven't ever watched one. You can find them on YouTube. I believe they're still there. Um, Worth watching, especially if you grew up on stuff like Shazam and Mighty Isis, or I don't know, Sigmund and the Sea Monsters, Land of the Lost, all that kind of stuff. That's my number 5. Number 4, Batman the Brave and the Bold. Now I know people are probably saying, whoa, 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 where's, okay, Batman the Animated Series, that's going to be, Batman the Animated Series, I watched in my 20s. That was part of my extended first childhood, and it's one of the greatest things ever made, no doubt. When I first saw Batman Brave and the Bold, which ran from 2008 to 2011, I didn't like it. I didn't like the design. I wasn't real sure about it, but yeah, it's Batman. I'll give it a try. Watched it with my daughter, and I got hooked on it pretty quickly. It is a deep dive into DC Comics lore. It draws heavily on the Adam West Batman and the Golden Age and Silver Age Batman, but it also embraces other eras of Batman. It even has a very serious episode involving Joe Chill. You get Owlman, you get Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man. The Metal Men show up. You know, all the characters that did pair with Batman in the Brave and the Bold comic are pretty much there. Now you do get like the more modern iteration of the Blue Beetle, although they have a cartoon that also, shows the Ted Kord version of the character. You get so many characters over so many years of Batman, and it's all embraced. It celebrates Batman's entire catalog. It's, if you are a comic book nerd who loves that old DC stuff, and I mean unambiguously, not ironically, unambiguously loves that stuff, you gotta check this cartoon out. It is worth your time. It's a little bit slow to start, but it gets better with every episode. It's funny. It's got action. It's got adventure. Eventually, you get Superman. You get Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen. You get Wonder Woman. And I mean, she's like throwing the tiara. It is awesome. It's a really great cartoon and well worth watching. Number 4, Batman, the Brave and the Bold. I looked forward to this one every day that it was going to be on. Number 3, it probably could have gone higher if number 1 and number 2 weren't so great. Kim Possible ran from 2002 to 2007 on the Disney Channel. It's a really great cartoon. Great characters, great voice actors, very cool style, fun villains that they actually do some things with. They're not just, cookie cutter there to be beaten. Genuinely funny. And it even grows up with its audience a little bit. It managed to get 4 seasons, and from what I understand, at the time, Disney would generally restrict any cartoon they were doing to 2 seasons. And I guess it's common for networks to order 2 seasons of animation right off the bat because it makes it cheaper to produce. Kim Possible got a couple extra seasons, and that was a big deal with the Disney Channel once upon a time, and it was worth it. She's this overachieving cheerleader by day, maybe a little bit reminiscent of Buffy, but she, she's this adventurer in her off hours, and has saved all sorts of people. There's a trope in it where they need to fly, her and her erstwhile assistant Ron Stoppable and Rufus, their little naked mole rat buddy. They've got to fly somewhere to stop the latest bad guy. And, well, you know, somebody owes Kim a favor. You know, they'll be in the airplane. Oh, gee, Kim, you know, I just can't thank you enough for that time you saved my, you know, family from blah, 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 blah. Oh, it's no big deal. Thanks for giving us a ride. You know, it's a great cartoon, and I highly suggest it. I don't know how easy it is to get out in the wild. Probably streaming on Disney Plus. But I'm kind of a physical media guy, and Disney's kind of weird with some of that stuff, I think, because of the streaming. But if you could find it out there, watch it. I think your kids will love it, and I think you'll enjoy it as well. Number 2. And this one could have gone number 1 in my heart. SpongeBob SquarePants. I'm going to be honest with you. I think it might be one of the best comedies ever made. It started in 1999. It's still, I think, running today, although after the first maybe 4 or 5 seasons, you know, the quality, in my opinion, goes down drastically. It's great. The movie that they did is great. Post-movie, I'm not so big on it. This one, we caught an episode at a relative's house. We were there for some kind of function. And I was like, what is this? You know, this weird little thing, but it was actually kind of funny. It had a weird sense of humor, but really quick and great gags, sight gags, but also, you know, funny lines. We probably quote SpongeBob once or twice a day, every day in my house, because there's so many great lines that just pop into our heads when things are happening. So we got a VHS tape, and we were hooked. So we got the DVDs, we watched it, and I really do think it's one of the best comedies ever made. The folks who wrote it were good, and they had timing and such a warped sense of humor, referential sometimes, but often just weird, which is right up my alley. If you got a weird sense of humor, I highly suggest you go check out SpongeBob SquarePants. Not that this is the like a forgotten TV series. SpongeBob's done pretty well for himself, but I had to put it in there for number 2 because, again, man, every day we're doing some stupid SpongeBob line in our house. It made a major impact on us, and I feel blessed that I was there to watch it. Now, before I get to the number 1 pick that I have, got quite a few honorable mentions, because frankly, it was that period from, like, you know, the late 90s to around 2010 or so was really pretty strong for animation. There's a lot of stuff that I don't really care for, but a lot that I really do. Powerpuff Girls was one of the first things we got into with my daughter. She loved Powerpuff Girls, and we all did. It's got that mid-century modern cool. It's got some great characters and some funny voices. Again, pretty good movie. After the movie, not so good. When these cartoons kind of lose their creators and their original creative team and become sort of network property, it's not so good for them. Foster's Home. Foster's Home was great. Some goofy characters, some gentle comedy, and some outrageous stuff. I probably do a stupid impersonation of Orlando Blue, you know, at least once a month. Usually when we're eating something, I'll have to call it exquisite. So we had a lot of fun with that one. Very creative. Great character design too. Really was. Fairly Odd Parents was one that I didn't think I was going to like that much, and it really grew on me, I have to admit. Again, really weird sense of humor, and it is fast. I mean, it is a fast cartoon. Gag after gag after gag after gag, and a lot of running gags that are great. Teen Titans. Teen Titans could have made this list easily. Easily. You know, Bruce Timm, but not really associated with his animated universe per se, did a fantastic job of bringing these characters to a new generation of kids. Yeah, it alters them a little bit. You know, especially Starfire, because let's be honest, comic book Starfire probably not entirely appropriate for younger kids, but it alters them in a good way. The characters work. Hit on some big storylines from the comic books, and did a great job, and was an interesting sort of blend of an anime style with American cartoons. Maybe one of the more successful attempts at that. Yeah, Teen Titans I always looked forward to. Adventure Time. Now this kind of comes in towards the end, 2010 or so, but we had a lot of fun with Adventure Time. Although I'll admit, you know, not that my daughter was real young at that point, but there's a lot of episodes where I'm like going, where are they going with this? Am I going to be sorry we're watching this? Am I going to be sorry I'm watching this? And you know what? Image that I forgot to grab, Phineas and Ferb, 2007. What a great cartoon. Great concept, really fun. Yeah, I highly recommend Phineas and Ferb. It's just a good time. So let's get to the number one pick. I think this could arguably be the best American cartoon ever made. I think it could be argued to be one of the best shows ever made. I'm talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's hard to sum up just how good this thing is. Great design, great animation, great world building. Voice actors, great. The characters are great. They're interesting. And they grow up over the course of this series. It's a series that grows up with its audience in a lot of ways. I mean, it starts off, and Aang is this fun-loving kid with these incredible powers. And the adventures are they're fun. I mean, there's danger, but only so much. But as it goes, these characters experience loss. They have to grow. They have to rebound from this. The bad guys, you kind of get to understand where they're coming from. You also get to see some truly evil characters. And it all builds up to an amazing finale. And in a time where so many TV shows, you know, they launch with a great concept. It seems like there's this great overarching epic storyline, and it fizzles out. Not Avatar: The Last Airbender. They stick the landing on the finale. It's good. It's powerful. It's meaningful. I cannot recommend this cartoon enough. Maybe start your kids with it when they're tweens, and like I said, it'll grow up with them a bit, and it'll give them things to think about. It's really an extraordinary bit of storytelling. I got to tell you, I feel so blessed that I had a kid when I did, because if I was just an adult, you know, as much as I enjoyed animation and things when I was younger, and I watched, you know, like Batman and Justice League and those cartoons, I don't know how many of these I ever would have watched. I really don't. Having a child gave me a good excuse to watch them, and boy was I impressed. There was a lot of solid output during those years. something people can be really proud of, and something I highly suggest people go seek out. These are fantastic cartoons. And to be completely honest, they hold up significantly better than most of the stuff from my childhood. I'll love that stuff until the day I die, but it's one thing to fall in love with a cartoon when you're 10 or 11 years old. It's another thing to watch these when you're in your 30s and 40s and really be impressed by what they're doing and the writing and the talent involved. So there we go. That's the show for today, folks. Thanks for sticking around this long. My top 5 cartoons from my second childhood. I highly suggest all of them. Go check them out. You might find out that you love them too. And if you're young enough, you probably watched them when they were first on or soon after, and you already know what I'm talking about. And you're probably going, what about my favorite? Why wasn't it in there? Well, hey, leave it in the comments. What are some of these cartoons that you really loved that meant a lot to you? If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, share with your friends. Hopefully I'll see you around for the next Dad's Den of Pop Culture. In the meantime, God bless you. Be kind and have fun.